My father stole my $80,000 inheritance, disowned me, and called my mother a whore. 14 years later, when I built success, they tried to extort me. Justice was served. I still remember that night like it was yesterday. I was 18, fresh out of high school, and had just asked a simple question about the inheritance my grandfather had left specifically for me. "Where's the money Grandpa left for my education?" I'd asked, clutching the letter I'd found while cleaning out some old boxes. My grandfather had written to me before he passed, mentioning the $80,000 he'd set aside for my future. I wasn't prepared for what happened next. My father's face turned a shade of purple I'd never seen before. "You're not even my son," he roared, slamming his fist on the kitchen table so hard that the plates jumped. "You think you deserve anything? Your mother was a whore who cheated on me." My mother, who had been silently washing dishes, didn't even turn around to defend me. My younger sister and brother sat frozen at the table, eyes wide with shock. "Get out," he continued, throwing my backpack at me. "Get out and never come back." That night, I slept in my car in a Walmart parking lot, rain drumming on the roof, wondering how my life had imploded so completely in the span of 10 minutes. The next few years were a blur of survival. I couch-surfed with the few friends who hadn't been poisoned against me by my family's lies. I worked 3 jobs while trying to take community college classes. Every penny I earned went toward basic survival and slowly building some semblance of education. My family. They completely cut me off. My calls went unanswered. When I drove by our house 6 months later, there was a for sale sign in the yard. They had moved without telling me, leaving no forwarding address. My siblings, who I'd practically helped raise, were instructed to block me on all social media. It was as if I had never existed. The inheritance that should have funded my education and given me a start in life had vanished. Later, I would discover through bank statements that my father had spent it all: a new boat, a vacation home, and my sister's extravagant Sweet 16 party that was plastered all over social media. But something in me refused to break completely. Maybe it was my grandfather's stubborn spirit living on in me. I worked harder. I studied longer. I built connections and took risks that someone with a safety net would never have to take. By 26, I had managed to complete my degree in computer engineering, specializing in cybersecurity. By 28, I had started my own consulting firm. By 30, that firm had grown into a respected company with major clients and a solid reputation. I had built something from nothing. I had survived. And I had done it all without a single word from the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. It was a Tuesday afternoon when the email arrived. I was in the middle of a meeting with potential investors when my phone buzzed with a notification. Subject: Family Reconnection. "Hey, it's been a long time. We should catch up. Dad's been asking about you. He's sorry about everything that happened. We all miss you. Let's meet for coffee. Your sister." I stared at the screen, my heart hammering in my chest. 14 years of silence, and now they wanted to catch up. Something felt off. I did some digging. A quick social media search revealed what I suspected: my father's business had gone bankrupt. My brother's profile showed he'd been arrested for fraud. My sister's wedding plans had been canceled abruptly. They weren't looking to reconnect. They were looking for a bailout. I agreed to meet at a coffee shop near my office. When I walked in, they were already there. My father, now gray and stooped. My mother, thin and nervous. My sister, dressed expensively despite their apparent financial troubles. And my brother, sporting a new tattoo that poorly covered an electronic monitoring bracelet. "Son," my father said, standing up with arms outstretched as if the past 14 years had been a minor misunderstanding. I didn't hug him. I sat down and waited. The conversation started with small talk, awkward questions about my life that could have been answered with a simple Google search of my company. Then came the pivot. "We've hit a rough patch," my father finally admitted. "And we thought, since you're doing so well now, maybe you could help your family out." I looked at them, these strangers who shared my blood, but nothing else. "How much?" My father slid a paper across the table. The number written on it made me laugh out loud. "That's more than the inheritance you stole from me," I said quietly. His face darkened. "We raised you. We fed you. That money was compensation." I was 18. That money was legally mine. "We're family," my mother interjected, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. "Family doesn't abandon family," I replied. What happened next showed their true colors. When they realized I wasn't going to be their ATM, the facade crumbled. My father threatened to tell my clients the truth about me, fabricated stories about theft and dishonesty. My sister mentioned she'd already contacted several business publications with concerns about my company's practices. My brother hinted that his friends could make things difficult for me. They weren't just asking for money. They were attempting extortion. I stood up, placed my business card on the table, and said, "Any further communication should go through my lawyer." The next morning, the attacks began. Negative reviews flooded my company's online profiles. A potential client called to cancel a meeting, mentioning they'd received concerning information about me. My sister had created a social media account dedicated to spreading lies about my business practices. I had worked too hard to let them destroy everything I'd built. I contacted my lawyer, who advised me to gather evidence of their extortion attempt and the subsequent defamation campaign. Fortunately, I had recorded our coffee shop meeting. I had screenshots of their messages. I had evidence of the money my father had taken years ago, bank statements I'd obtained through legal channels during my quiet investigation over the years. We filed for a restraining order first, then a civil suit for defamation, harassment, and the recovery of my stolen inheritance plus interest. The day we appeared in court, my family seemed shocked that I had actually gone through with it. They had underestimated me. Again, they had assumed I would cave to their pressure, that I would choose peace over justice. They were wrong. My lawyer presented our evidence methodically. The recording of their extortion attempt, the documented campaign to damage my business, the paper trail showing how my inheritance had been systematically drained within weeks of my grandfather's death. Their lawyer attempted to paint me as a vindictive son holding a grudge, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge, a stern woman with piercing eyes, saw through their act immediately. "This court finds in favor of the plaintiff," she announced after deliberation. "The defendants are ordered to pay the original sum of $80,000 plus 14 years of interest, as well as damages for defamation and harassment totaling $175,000. Additionally, a permanent restraining order is granted." My father's face contorted with the same rage I remembered from 14 years ago. My mother wept silently. My siblings stared at me with hatred, as if I had somehow betrayed them. As they left the courtroom, my father turned to me one last time. "You're dead to us," he spat. "I have been for 14 years, I replied calmly. "The difference is, now I'm at peace with it." Update, 6 months later. The money was eventually collected through liens on their remaining assets. I never saw a penny of it. Instead, I established a scholarship fund in my grandfather's name for students who have been estranged from their families. Every year, it helps kids like me get the education they deserve. My company recovered from the temporary hit to its reputation. In fact, several clients who had initially pulled away came back after hearing the full story. Integrity, it turns out, is good for business. I still get messages from my family occasionally, usually when they're desperate for money. I've learned to delete them without reading. Some wounds never fully heal, but I've built a life filled with people who choose to be in it, not people who are obligated by blood. Sometimes family isn't who you're born to. It's who you build your life with. My grandfather knew that. I think that's why he tried to give me a head start with that inheritance. He saw something in me that my parents never did. I've found peace in knowing that I honored his faith in me, even without the money he intended me to have. I built something from nothing, and no one can take that away from me. Update, 1 year later. The scholarship fund has now helped 12 students start college. I received a letter from one of them last week that brought me to tears. She had been kicked out at 17 when she came out to her parents. She's now thriving in her computer science program. I met someone special about 8 months ago. We're taking things slow, but for the first time, I'm thinking about starting a family of my own someday. A family built on honesty, support, and unconditional love, everything I didn't have growing up. My brother reached out last month, the only one who showed any remorse. He's been sober for 6 months and wanted to apologize for his role in everything. We met for coffee. It was awkward and painful, but there was something genuine there. I'm cautiously optimistic that he might be the one bridge worth rebuilding, but I'm proceeding carefully. The rest of my family continues to struggle, from what I hear through mutual acquaintances. My father's health is declining, and my mother has been asking people if I'll do the right thing and help them in their old age. My sister moved across the country and rarely speaks to them now. It's strange how karma works. I never wish them ill, but I can't help but notice how the consequences of their actions continue to unfold in their lives while I've found a way forward. Sometimes justice isn't a single moment in a courtroom. Sometimes it's the life you build afterward, proof that their worst couldn't destroy your best. I still have the letter my grandfather wrote me. It sits framed on my desk, a reminder that someone believed in me when no one else did. That belief was worth more than $80,000. It was the foundation I built my life on. And for that, I'll always be grateful.